Hi, happy Monday, everybody. It's Scott Stoltz, and I hope you're having a great start to your week. And I'm coming at you again to talk more about how you're going to make and create your great. And I have a very special friend, colleague, and partner I'm sitting down with today, Donna Markussen. And Donna and I have been talking about a number of things this afternoon. We got together to brainstorm and talk a little bit about Donna's business, which we are going to get into. Donna is a health coach and does many other things. She's a very dynamic person. So I'm excited to bring some of Donna's wisdom to you today. And we are going to talk about, and I'll introduce Donna in just a second. I know she's brimming and ready to share alike. We've been talking a lot about, and I want to get you all engaged in this, whether you're watching this live now or you catch it later on replay, about how we address some of those issues and problems that we have in our life. Are we addressing them? Are you addressing the issues that you have? Or are you allowing them? Are you rolling with them? Are you letting them fester and continue? Because there's a big difference. And Donna and I want to share some things, some insight, some wisdom, and some stories with you to help if you need a little prodding in terms of how you address some of those problems. Because the biggest thing, and I want to credit Donna with doing this and putting this thought in my head as we prepared to go live, was it's not only okay to do that, and it's very healthy for us to be able to share and acknowledge and give ourselves permission to say, you know what, I have an issue, I have a problem, and I want to address it. I don't want to just allow it. So, Donna, thanks for planting that seed in my head, and it's so cool to be here sitting with you today.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott. Yes, I'm all about that. You know, as a health coach, I always talk about, yes, it makes sense to have a nice healthy diet and take care of your body physically, but more importantly, mentally, if we're not in a space where we are able to actually own and acknowledge what is going on in our life right now that may or may not be working. And so I was telling Scott, I have a lot of experience in this, years and years of experience not addressing those things in my life that weren't working. And I just pretended that everything was fine, that my life was fine, and that I was happy. And in reality I wasn't. And what happens, I was telling Scott, what happens when you don't address really the deep-rooted emotions that are going on when you're not happy? Say you're not happy with a job, maybe you're not happy in the relationships that you have or a certain relationship that you're in. There could be other things going on outside. It could be a coworker. It doesn't matter. The point of my story is, if we're going to be healthy and really get to know what it is we stand for and what it is that makes us happy, we need to understand that those influences that are outside of us that don't resonate with us, we need to understand that if we don't address it and we keep these emotions stuffed inside of us, eventually they will surface. And they surface in many different ways. And I'll give you an example for me, what happened to me. Mm-hmm. When I didn't address circumstances in my life, which at the time, say I was in a job that I really didn't like, and I pretty much outgrew this job, but I didn't have the courage to make a move and to move on to another job. And so I stuck with that job, and I went day after day. I say, you go to your work, you come home, you go to sleep, go to work, do the same thing all over again. And you're not addressing those feelings. And what happens when we don't address these feelings is something will show up in the form of a wake-up call. It could be, whether it's a symptom, it could be a full-blown disease. And in my case, it was all full-blown body aches and pains and neck pains and headaches and stomach aches. And when you get those symptoms, when we have like chronic headaches and chronic shoulder and neck pain, you need to kind of sit back and, look and see what in your life is not working. Mm-hmm. Because that's a symptom of you not addressing your feelings. And instead, you just keep them inside.
So to jump in on one thing with that, because I've had times where I felt like my body shut down or my body's telling me something. So are you suggesting in part anyway that as soon as we feel a little off physically, that might be one sign that, or one reason why we really need to look at, okay, what's wrong with me? What do I have going on? What might be causing this stress?
Absolutely. It's becoming more self-aware, Scott. It's becoming more self-aware when your body starts to, in my case, my neck's tightened up and my back was really, really stiff. There was a reason for that. I know now. Now I know. I'm so self-aware. When I start to get aches and pains like that, I'm doing something that's out of alignment for me. Or I am allowing something that's out of alignment in my vision or in my health.
So what do we share with the people who will watch and hear you talk about some of this, who are not health and wellness coaches, who are not really that in tune with their physical well-being? And, obviously we can all tell when something's aching or we're not feeling so good. But, you're very connected to this. What's some of the advice that you could give to somebody who is not necessarily paying a lot of attention day to day to their overall health and well-being? Like, what are some of the triggers that they should look for so that they can slow themselves down and say, wait a minute, something's off here, something's not right?
Well, the simplest thing that I would recommend for anybody to do is to really sit down, give yourself 5 minutes. Really give yourself 5 minutes and quiet everything. Get rid of all the noise, get rid of all your thoughts. I can't get rid of all your thoughts, but what I mean by that is just sit there, be quiet, and then feel your whole body. Like, do a whole body scan and see how you feel. And when you're in that kind of generalized space and your body feels okay, feels good, now start to think about certain circumstances in your life that are showing up, and then do that scan again. And that gets you more in tune to, it's almost like, a light bulb goes off and says, there's the problem. That's, it could be a boundary issue, and it could be, I'm not addressing this job that I've outgrown or I dislike, or I'm just putting up with it. And at my own expense, you're tearing away at your own health.
So, and this is, again, I'm sitting with Donna Markussen today. She is a health coach, and Donna's going to share very shortly some of the things that she helps people with now, and she will be helping people with in the future. And I love that you come from a place too. One of the special things, and I would like to have this shared with an audience for those who are watching live or those who see this later, that you're not honing in, and I've learned this recently about you, you're not honing in on just one particular thing, one aspect of our health and our life. You're looking at it big picture so that we can all live, feel good, and have it reflect itself. That's one way I would put it, like it reflects in other areas of our life. You're very mindful of the different things. That's how we got on this topic, by the way, because we have stressors and things that are going on that then lead to other problems in our life. So back to your story a little bit. And how did you work through when your body was sending you all these messages and you were stressed or feeling that pain and those aches? Not medicine-wise, but how did you work through to get to a place where you're doing much better, and you're now in a place where you can help others with that?
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I'm not going to bring up the medicine because I was on a lot of medicine, which was just what the Western approach does. It wasn't until I addressed how I wanted to improve the quality of my life that I decided to make a change. And that brought up a lot of courage, because I had to address the job that I was at, and I needed to just walk away and not knowing what I was going to do next. So that's the biggest fear I know all of us have, is to make a bold move and not have a roadmap in front of you of what is the next step. And all I can say to that is, even though we don't know for sure what the next step is, anything is better than being stuck in a situation that's holding you back from moving forward. So you understand?
So
Anything is
it was-
better than that.
So this was very career related for you then.
Yeah.
And getting yourself out of an unhealthy job and situation into something that was, more aligned with your goals.
Yes,
with
I
your
was
mission.
not, although that job when I started, and it was 12 years into it, I loved it when I started. 12 years later, it wasn't that way. And so we need to understand that just what we thought once was a good situation, now isn't, is okay. And that was, I just believed, the story I kept telling myself, I needed to put up with this. I was making really good money, which another thing can hold us hostage. I was making really good money. But I believed in my heart that I had so much more to give than what I was doing I was in a corporate sales, that it was tearing away at my soul and my heart and my health. And so when you come to that place, when you come to that reality and that you understand that I need to do it because it's in my heart, then it makes it much more easier to make the bold move.
It does,
Yeah.
and there's a big payoff to that. Hey, Jillian, and hey, Ken, and it's great to see a few of you out there, and already we're getting such a great message in Donna's story in terms of see the importance, and we share this a lot in the Create Your Great community is, we can't sit back and settle and accept unhealthy situations. We have to recognize them and then proactively move on and act on them to benefit our overall life, not just a salary level, not just what it says on our business card. And Ken, thanks for chiming in. Ken, who I've gotten to know pretty well the last few months, does a lot of amazing work, has some great experience in several different fields, and he understands and empathizes with the situation or when you need to make that kind of a transition. So thanks, Ken, for connecting with us today. So you decided not that long ago too, and I want to share this with the audience if the camera's picking this up the right way or not, and it may not be, but Donna wrote a book, Finding My Way, Facing My Journey with Courage, Finding My Way, and I love that. And the fact that I didn't know before today, I knew you had written before and had done a book, but I didn't know it was this book, this message. What compelled you to say, okay, I'm now ready, whether it was it 1 or 2 years ago that you started writing this?
2.
2 years ago, to sit down and say, I have to tell my story, some of the parts of my journey. What compelled you to really want to put that in writing for others to see?
Well, I started to write again, and again, when I was in my funk, and I do enjoy writing, but when I was in my funk, I lost it, and it was very hard to get back to. But there was a message that kept coming up for me, and it was my intuition. I always say we need to listen to our intuition when it talks to us because it knows so much more than our logical mind does. But my intuition kept posing that question, like, you need to write your story. Even though I didn't know anything about writing a book, but what I did was I just, first thing, I reached out to somebody who writes, and I made an appointment with her, and I said, can you kind of give me a feedback, like, is this even worth telling? And she really was all over it. She just said to me, that it would make a great book, it would make a great inspirational story for people, for others. The name of the book is, by the way, Finding My Way, and a lot of times when I talk to people, they're like, I need to find my way. We all need to find our way. But the gist of it all is how we learn and stumble and fall and fail, get back up, learn, stumble, fall, fail, get back up. It's all good because we're all evolving and growing as we do this. And by my doing my story, I've met so many wonderful people who didn't have the courage to stand up to their own story. And because I was able to, in a way, transcribe my story where it's relatable to your life or anyone else's life, that's the purpose. That was the purpose. And I think I filled it very, very good.
So how do you feel about, we talked about in the gist of what we're sharing, and some of what you're sharing is addressing our issues. And you've done that. And do you find that your story helps call attention to that? You know, there's ways as coaches we want and we work and we try to bring that out in people. You know, be very realistic and truthful with yourself as far as what you need to address and to work on. And you've done a lot of that work. And now, you know, we've talked, and when I first met you, wellness coach, and we talked about like a detox and very physical based activity. And now I know you do so much more than that. So how does some of this port over to the work that you're doing, the business that you're building, in getting people to look at their problems and being very truthful with themselves so they can do the hard work to work through them and not just allow it?
Yeah. You know, the word detox can take on many forms, right? And a lot of times when I say detox, people run the other way. Good, and I could understand that. The purpose of a detox is, and the purpose of my work is not all about let's all have a bowl of broccoli and call it a day and we're healthy. It is all about mindset. It's all about self-care. It's all about self-awareness. And one of the programs, the detox that I'm running, yes, it pretty much brings you back down to the basics of eating, which is 100% whole foods, and you're getting rid of all the crap out, you know, the processed foods and other foods that will promote inflammation in your body, which promotes disease or illness. But more importantly, Scott, back to this whole topic, if the detox of the mind, the detox of the stories that we keep telling ourselves, the detox of not feeling well enough, not feeling worthy enough to be healthy, then you can eat all the broccoli in the world and you're not going to get to that place where you want to take care of yourself. And that's the difference between what I do and what other detox programs are, is I really try to hone in on that message. Like, you can't get to taking care of yourself unless you believe you are worthy enough to do that.
Do you see that? Is that a typical problem or hurdle? Because we know we all have blocks, we all have limiting beliefs, or that voice in our head, that negative self-talk. Is one of the common ones that you see a lack of feeling worthy of doing this for myself?
It's probably the number one reason that people are unhealthy, is because they don't feel worthy. So it's easier, and I know we talked about this off camera, it's easier to do the things that don't require work versus doing what you need to do to go in the direction that you need to go in.
Well, what would help somebody? I mean, so we know when we're I want to make sure I ask this the right way. So it's one thing to know or feel I'm not worthy. But then there's the whole other side of it, where if you're eating a lot of junk, or you're eating stuff that you know is not good for you, that has a lot of sugar, or if gluten's not good for you, or dairy or whatnot, why do people take it a step further and knowingly put bad things into their body? I kind of understand for some not doing the work to get better or feel worthy, but why are they making it worse is what I'm saying. Where does that come from?
So I don't want to come across harsh, but I'm going to have to tell you this is where I'm coming from. Unless you take 100% responsibility for everything that you're doing to yourself and to your body, because it's easier to blame it on something else. And when we do put the blame on something else, or a circumstance, or a person, or I hear all the time, I can't do this because my husband needs this, or I can't do this because my kids need to have this, and I just, and when I see someone come to me with that excuse, they are all excuses, by the way, we know that we can do it if we really put our mind to, then we're staying in that victim story. And until we get out of that victim story or that victim state, will we ever be able to make a change? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, totally. That's such a good point, because you flipped it, and you brought me there too. We're thinking like we like sometimes to find excuses. We've all done it.
Everyone, it's human nature.
Yeah, Lord knows I've done it many times where And I did it a few times in my career too, where I knew I wasn't quite in the right role, but I made other excuses, or I reconciled in my mind, like, actually this is good for me because, and a lot of times I probably was kidding myself. And it didn't mean I was doing bad work or I was in a horrible position, but I wasn't taking ownership of the situation.
Yeah.
So let's spend the last few minutes talking a little bit about your program too. And for those of you who are watching now, or if you catch this later on replay, and we'll include Donna's contact information before we wrap, and you can always go in and add it in the comments too. Yeah. Feel free to shoot questions Donna's way. Let her know what your thoughts are on this topic, what things are festering or building up inside of you that you haven't faced. You know, it might be better for an offline conversation,
sure,
not shared in comments, but reach out to Donna and ask questions, because I can assure you, if there are several weeks of conversations with Donna, I mean, she's more than capable of providing really valuable guidance for you on this stuff. So, you know, to wind down the last couple of minutes, share with the audience how your program you want to do, and you've been sharing with me a little bit about the model that you're building to help people and help groups of people.
Yeah.
So how would some of the work that you do show itself in a group capacity? What are some of the things you're going to do to help people face their issues, avoid excuses, and start taking action to improve their life?
Sure. You know what, Scott? It's all about perception and perspective. And so a lot of times we just need to zoom out and look at things a different way. So the power of a group, which I know I'm learning through your group, that's the beauty of having a like-minded individuals and people who are sort of like interested in the same topic. And in my case, people are interested in staying healthy and being healthy, both with your mind and your body. And so there's a power in the group that way, because there's a lot of education and information to share. And one last thing I want to just bring up. In the group setting, I had somebody that I was working with recently who was I was telling you earlier, who was a single dad, 2 adult kids, was running on both ends, just trying to do everything. And, you know, he lost his wife, and it was really hard. And he was trying to make up for that. And so what happened was, he was just doing everything. Instead of asking his adult children for help, he felt compelled and he felt guilty about it. And so I reframed it for him, and a lot of this stuff comes up in a group setting. Mm-hmm. And I said, can you look at it this way? You're giving your kids the skills to move into their adult lives. And when you don't show them by example that you need help and that it's okay to ask for help, then when they move into their adult life, and it could be in a job setting, mm-hmm. it could be confronting a boss about something that you're unhappy with, if they don't get that courage and that skill it's okay to ask for help and it's okay to speak up, then they won't understand that, and it would take them much longer in their life to get that. So that's the purpose of a group setting. There's so many different variables that come into play, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I mean, I love a couple of those points. And first of all, too, about setting a good example for others, for kids, for people who have children, setting a good example for their children, for your children. And also the asking, which is a big part of what we've been talking about today, is it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help, and Donna and I want to share that message too. And we know that be it career related, be it health related, be it relationship related, a lot of times because we want to give off that aura or that perception to the outside world, to our peers, to our friends, to our family, that all is well. So we put on that front, but sometimes we don't need to ask everybody for help. But sometimes we want, or we need just even a little bit of help. So your group program it sounds like it'll be a great environment, a great setting for people to, get that permission.
Yeah, it's a great education too on food. There's so much confusion around food, and this is a great way to actually, you get to tap into all of my knowledge and all of the health issues that I went through around food. And so it's a little bit of everything. It's great to be able to understand what foods can cause inflammation in the body and what foods to look out for.
So where can people find you? Where should people go as of today? And as we sit in early April 2018, and I know you have a lot of great things
out
coming.
there.
I know it's cold in the Northeast. For those of you who aren't in the Northeast, you're fortunate right now. Where can people go and find you?
I have a website, and it's findingyourhealth.com, and that's finding, I-N-G, yourhealth.com. And my email, same thing, info@findingyourhealth.com. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram and would love to chat anytime.
Sounds good. Well, I look forward to a lot more in terms of chatting with you and learning from the great work that you're doing. I really appreciate your time today. And for all of you out there, remember too, whatever problems you have, food related, relationship, work, or career related, bring them out, and how, even if you have to ask for help and get the support around you so that you can address those issues and go on and create your great. So Donna, thanks again.
Thank you.
See you all
Thank you,
soon.
Scott.
Thanks. Bye.